Welcome to Wednesday Wisdom. I'm super glad to be back. I missed last week, and some of you called me out on that, and I'm grateful that you did. I'm grateful for reaching out and just letting me know, hey, first of all, you missed it, and second of all, you care enough to know, like, hey, why didn't you come on and do Wednesday Wisdom? And honestly, that's a story for another day. I'm not going to go into that today because I have something super exciting that I think you'll find very encouraging. This week's wisdom is titled, Know the Season That You're In. And I just want to jump right in and read it. I'm reading out of the Passion Translation. In Proverbs 10, verse 5, it says, know the importance of the season you are in. And it says, a wise son you will be. And I like to think, well, we'll be wise because we're looking for wisdom. Everybody needs more wisdom. And if knowing the season that you're in helps you be wiser, then I think we should explore that. So some things that just hit me right off the bat with this phrase, know the season that you're in, was harvesting, because seasons to me speak of harvesting. I have a lot of imagery in my stories about sowing and reaping and different types of planting and things like that. And I think the importance of knowing the season that you're in an overall perspective is so that, first of all, you don't harvest too soon. And second of all, you don't harvest too late. And that you harvest. And I think the point of that particular verse in Proverbs is that the lazy person, the incompetent son, it says, the incompetent son like sleeps through the harvest, and we don't want to sleep through our harvest. So the first point about knowing the season that you're in is knowing when to harvest, when that fruit is ripe and when to harvest. But I had three things I wanted to share with you. I was away this past weekend. I was up in Moravian Falls, North Carolina. And if you've never been there, I highly recommend it. It's an amazing place for a whole number of reasons. But while I was up there, in terms of knowing the season that you're in, there were just 3 points I wanted to touch on because they were sort of fresh in my life. And the first one is that if you don't know the season that you're in, then a lot of things are going to, it's going to cost you a lot of things. The first thing that came to my mind was knowing the season that you're in means knowing who you are. So like up north, the corn harvests later in the summer. You know, the stalks should be knee-high by 4th of July, which doesn't mean they're going to be harvested at the 4th of July. Up north, that means that's the measuring point, because August is going to bring some really good corn, and even later on into the fall. So corn is a later harvest, but some things get harvested earlier in the season. And so knowing who you are is super, super important, because you can't even go forward into your life without a good foundation of your identity. And we talk about this in our course, and we talk about the importance of knowing, like, I love the example of the hand. And if you've seen our intro video, I think even the promo video, I talk a lot about the hand, because I love this, because when you look at the hand, like the thumb, we're the only mammal, I think, with an opposable thumb, if I remember my schooling correctly. And the thumb knows it's a thumb. So it knows who it is, but it not only knows who it is, it knows where it belongs in the body. It knows it needs to be here on the palm, because its job is to support the fingers. So the thumb knows who it is, and it knows where it belongs in the body, and it's confident in that. And knowing the season that you're in, knowing who you are, means that you know who you are, you know where you belong in the body, and you know what your job is. Because if you don't know who you are, then you're going to be tempted to look at other people around you and be like, well, maybe I should be like them because they're making money, or because they're really popular, or they're they have this great life or this great family, whatever your personal goals are. You're going to look for that in other people, and you're going to be tempted to replicate them. And you are not designed to replicate them. You're designed to be a thumb. You're designed to be who God created you to be. So you have to know who you are. And we work really hard at helping people understand who God created them to be, so that they are finding their place in the body and they're working on the job that God created them to do. So knowing the season that you're in, as this verse in Proverbs 10 talks about, is about knowing who you are, where you belong in the world, and what your job is to be doing, so that you're not tempted. Like the thumb would never want to be like, hey, I like the nose. The nose is right up on the face. They're in the center of attention all the time. So I want to be a nose. Well, to have your thumb up here in the middle of your face, that's just ridiculous, because the thumb up here can't help the fingers. It can't do its job when it's up here. The nose is supposed to be up here for whatever reason. God chose the nose to go here because it functions. My nose is a little stuffy right now, so just bear with me. But you get the point. Like the thumb doesn't want to be a nose. It doesn't want to be down here on the hip because it can't do its job down there. Now, the second point that jumped out at me in this verse, know the importance of the season that you're in, is that you would know what you know. Know what you know. In other words, know what your level of maturity is. Know what you know and know what you don't know. And the word that comes to my mind there is humility. And I really feel like we need to circle back and talk about this. So if you're interested in unpacking this some more, message me and maybe we'll set up a Zoom call and let's pack this out. Because this is what I see all the time, is that people get just a little bit of knowledge on the surface, and then they become like this bullhorn for that little bit of knowledge, and there's no humility in that. It's like, oh, I hear this really awesome little phrase, and this is going to be like my message, and I don't feel like that's maturity. And honestly, I'm guilty of this too. Because the third point in knowing the season that you're in, I believe, is about taking the time to go deep. And here's my picture of this. We plant these seeds in the ground, right? And what's the first thing that happens? The little things pop out on the bottom, and those roots go down deep. So we're called to go deep before we're called to go up or out. So knowing the season that we're in has a lot to do with knowing our maturity level spiritually, intellectually, and coming in with humility, realizing that, hey, I know this and I'm really excited that I know this, but there's so much more for me to know. And so I want to make sure that I'm walking in humility, understanding that I am looking for more. I am looking for more that God has for me, for more understanding, for depth in my relationship, first with the Lord, before I start sprouting my wings and flying, so to speak. And honestly, I'm saying this because I've walked through this. I stumble over this on a regular basis. So I hear this. I often struggle, even with my own identity. I have to remind myself every day, this is who you are. This is the call on your life. And those of you who've known my story, you know that I have specific call on my life. I'm called to be the salt of the earth. I'm an encourager. I'm called to help other people discover and grow in their identity so they can be everything they're created to be. And I have a real good, strong foundation in this. And it's a strong foundation because I've stumbled over this so many times. I have been tempted to look to the left and to the right to see, like, what are other people doing? Well, it doesn't matter what other people are doing. What matters is that I am who God created me to be, and I'm doing my job in my part of the body. And when I do that, I will know what season I'm in, because that will keep me humble. That will keep me in a place of constantly going deep with the Lord, have good, strong roots, so that when I do sprout up, when I do start to bear fruit, it's going to be solid fruit. It's going to be good fruit. It's going to be nutritious fruit. And that's really the crux of knowing that your season that you're in. Proverbs 10, verse 5. I love this in the Passion Translation. I'm going to give my voice a rest. I hope you have a great Wednesday. Message me if you're interested. Let's just have some dialogue about walking in humility and how we do that, and going deep with the Lord at the same time. Message me. Let's have a conversation. Let's take it off Facebook and have a conversation where we can get real and tease this stuff out. I love you. Have a great Wednesday. Be wise, and I will see you next week. See if we can turn this off.